let's get to what's new this week. I don't think we have any of that issue with Marvel, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so from Marvel, the week of so this is for New Comic Book Day, February 12th, year of our Lord 2025. I know we were talking to you a smidge earlier than that, not to timestamp things, but whatever.
Yep.
We have The Amazing Spider-Man issue 67, X-Men issue 11. It's still one book this week I didn't get to read, and I'm usually always on top of X-Men, so I'm looking forward to this one. The Immortal Thor issue 20, Deadpool issue 11, Magic issue 2, Moon Knight. Yeah, for those watching. Oh, Nicholas, you fucked it up.
No, I did it on purpose. I did.
You did the wrong one. No.
It's not working. What's going on?
Yeah. Oh,
Pay
the StreamYard bill. There it is.
Just took me a second. Yeah. No, the jazz hands was on purpose.
Okay. It's waiting for the Jubilee reaction. Terrible for those listening. Great for those watching. Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, issue 5. Psylocke, issue 4. Deadpool and Wolverine, issue 2. All New Venom, issue 3. Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, issue 10. Spider-Boy, issue 16. Deadpool Team Up, issue 5. Cable, Love and Chrome, issue 2. Sam Wilson, Captain America, issue 2. New Champions, issue 2. One World, Under Doom, issue 1. This is one I meant to read as well, because I think this one's got a little bit of potential.
Yeah.
So definitely have to. Hopefully, we'll talk about that and catching up next week. Eddie Brock, Carnage, issue 1, and Marvel Mutts, issue 1.
We move over to DC. We got Action Comics 1083, Batman Dark Patterns, issue 3. Aquaman, issue 2. Black Lightning, issue 4. Wayne Family Values, issue 151. DC Connect, issue 57. Mad, issue 42. Green Lantern Corps, issue 1. DC versus Vampires, World War V, Darkness and Light, issue 1. That is by the aforementioned Matthew Rosenberg, sticking to the long-ass titles. And then we got 2 books that we wanted to break down, Joe. Why don't you lead us off with the 18th issue of Batman and Robin?
So, how do I want to say this, right? So I talked last week about Batman 157 being Zdarsky's last issue, on the book. And so a lot of times, because I'm an old man, Nicholas, and I got a lot of things I like to bitch about and complain about.
Yep.
And, one of the things we've talked about is, like there's a ton of Spider-Man books in any given week, in any given month. There's a ton of X-Men books on any given week, any given month. And there's a ton of Batman books, right? In any given week, any given month, right? And that goes without saying because those are maybe the 3 biggest titles, right, in the world. But right now, I don't think Batman as a property has ever been stronger, right? Because we're going to talk about another Batman book today, right? And we've got Detective Comics, right, with Tom Taylor, right? You've got Absolute Batman by Scott Snyder, and you got Batman and Robin, which was taken over from Joshua Williamson by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And then you also got Batman Dark Patterns, right? Mm-hmm. Which I'll probably touch upon in my stack. So right now there's at least four Batman titles that are all A+ books. And Batman and Robin right now, this particular issue 18, might be one of the best Batman issues I have read recently. Okay. And that's saying something because Absolute Batman 5 rips, and so doesn't Batman Dark Patterns. They're all awesome for different reasons, but this particular issue of Batman and Robin, right? Because we've been sort of building this with Philip Kennedy Johnson's arc so far. And we've had this throughout Josh Williamson's run where Batman and Damian, this is a sort of a tale as old as time. Like they are so similar, right? That they're constantly butting heads with each other, right? They're just oil and water. And that makes sense because Damian is the only one of all the Robins that is actually, related to Bruce Wayne. So he's got that sort of in his DNA. And what we've been getting is this sort of independence from Damian that I don't think anyone that's written him so far has captured as well as Philip Kennedy Johnson has, right? Because it's almost sort of a coming of age. Because when you think of Damian, right, he's always so much older and wiser and smarter than you sort of give him credit for. He's like 13 going on 30, right? But at the end of the day, he's still a teenager, there's still a period of self-discovery that he has to go through, and that's sort of what Johnson is sort of really laying into here. And we get this moment in this issue where Robin is listening in to a conversation that Batman is having with Red Hood. And Red Hood earlier in the issue talks about is Damon having his Harvey Dent moment, which is something that he describes to Bruce that all the Robins have. It's a moment when they've faced absolute terror, right? Like the most dangerous moment in their life. How are they able to come out of it? How has it changed? Which affected them all differently. And Bruce is completely unaware that the Robins all talk about this, right? And there's this moment where Damian is listening into, he's trying to get a hold of Batman, and Batman can't hear him, but he can hear this conversation that he's having. And the dialogue is like, it's really poignant, and it's really sort of, it's honest. And Bruce says something, and it's like devastating. And at that moment, right, Damian takes the earpiece off, and he thinks that's the end of the conversation. But then what follows, he doesn't hear, right, what then Bruce has to say, which is probably the most what's the word I'm looking for? It's the most admiration that Bruce Wayne and Batman could ever give anybody, but Damian doesn't hear it. And the domino effect that has, and where it leads to the end of the issue, to me, like, this was just perfect storytelling. And I think that's why it hit me. Like, is it the most perfect Batman story, right, that we get this week or that we've gotten a while? No, but to me, it was the most impactful, and it really stuck with me. And to me was my favorite, just because, like, I always talk about, like, Zdarsky, how he's humanized Bruce and all his characters. Tom Taylor did the same thing with Nightwing. Well, Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing that right now with Damian. He's having a moment with Damian Wayne that I think is probably the best that we've ever seen. And that's saying something, because I thought Joshua Williamson did a great job.
Yeah.
So, like, this issue of Batman and Robin to me was just perfect. And now where it goes from here, because it's just like, that's what you want in storytelling, because now we're going to be going in this whole new direction. And the way that this issue ends, it's just like, oh, and what makes it so impactful is that, what Damian doesn't know, right? And so it's like, okay, how is this going to unfold? What's the life lesson? How is Damian going to come out of this on the other end? He's definitely going to come out a changed person. How is that ultimately going to affect this character going forward? And I just thought it was absolute perfection.
You are a Damian Wayne fan through and through now.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hated the little shit before Joshua Williamson came around, right? Because that's what he was. He was an arrogant little shit. But Joshua Williamson and Philip Kennedy Johnson have been able to allow Damian to have that arrogance, but without coming off as a smug little prick. Right? Right?
Yep.
And there's some heart to him, right? Which I think got lost because, he's the son of the demon, right? He's Batman's son. He is so much smarter, so much more gifted than everyone else. So for those who have been reading this title, when you get to it, you'll know that moment I'm talking about, and the praise that Bruce, levels onto Damian. It was just mind blowing. So excellent stuff.
Yeah, it's really, like, you've praised what we've seen with Joshua Williamson before, and obviously Philip Kennedy Johnson as well, but just, it really hit me today. It's like, Joe has become a Damian Wayne fan. Like, I know you would never thought that was going to happen when you started reading the Robin stuff.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, this is. I'm not going to put you on the spot right now, but I am curious, like, in general, what your Robin rankings are. Obviously, like, a lot of them have gone past Robin, or some of them have at least, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's get to Absolute Batman issue 5. Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta. I know you loved issue 4. It was kind of turning back the clock a little bit for Bruce Wayne, getting a little bit closer look at his DNA and how he, part of or a formative experience for him as a character. This gets right back to like the heavy metal, just rock and roll, crazy rip shit. Like I absolutely love this issue. And if there was ever an issue that was trying to tell you this ain't your dad's Batman, it was Absolute Batman issue 5. Like this shit gets so friggin' vicious. Anytime, Joe, the bat knives and the cape claws are in action, I'm in. I absolutely love that shit. And also like that's not even the best action that we get in this issue. That was so friggin' crazy. And there's also in all of this too, we get these full page shots that are just poster like. We got it. Like I think there was a big one in issue 2. We get another one of those here. I just love how Dragata and Snyder have made those moments a priority throughout this series because in the early going, because to me, that's one of the things that comics is about, like just having those moments that's like, I need a poster of this. This is so freaking cool. Just that type of imagery just carries a lot of weight for me as a comic book fan.
Yeah. There's definitely those wow, splash pages. The last 2 issues of this series have been the absolute best issues of the series so far. For reasons I can't disclose, I have gone back and started rereading the series from issue 1. So it has definitely helped to be able to read these back to back to back to back, like I have. I think this book, at least the first several issues, it's really helpful for that. But issues 4 and issues 5 really do kick up the tone, kicks up, the action kicks up. And now I think we're at a point with the story where like I am like, pun intended, I am all in, right? Like when we've ranked these books, I've sort of gone Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. I'm at a point now where Batman and Superman are like virtually tied, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like these last 2 issues of Batman, for Absolute Batman, for me have really kicked it up a notch. And that's because now I think we're starting to see the character, right, really coming into his own.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so while it may have taken a few issues for us, the reader, to kind of go on that journey with him, now that he's there, right? Like, yes, give me all the Absolute Batman now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you feel that way through 5 now. And yeah, and we heard more from Snyder when he was at MegaCon recently, and there's a lot of crazy shit coming in Absolute Batman. And it's like we've been praising Absolute Wonder Woman. Like that's been freaking outstanding. So it's just they have really done an awesome job. And where Marvel has the Ultimates universe where they're kicking ass too, like this is a great time for comics right now, like in terms of like what's out there and what people are excited about from the big 2. Anytime the big 2 are both doing well, that's freaking awesome. If one's kicking ass, then that's a good sign. But if both have something interesting going on at the same time, then things are clicking. But let's move on from those and get over to the indies. What do we got from Boom this week, Joe?
I'm going to rip through these next 2, Nicholas, because there's not a lot from Boom this week. So I'll do Boom and Dark Horse. From Boom, we have Jim Henson Presents issue 2 and Flavor Girls Return to the Mothership issue 3. And then from Dark Horse, we have Swartha, or for those listening for the first time, Star Wars The High Republic Adventures issue 15. We have Jupiter's Legacy Finale issue 4. Those Not Afraid issue 2. Nick and I have talked about this book. We have had the pleasure of being able to read the entire series. But once again, I will reiterate for any, true crime junkie, any serial killer, aficionado who loves those types of stories, you're going to love this book. So issue 2 drops. Make sure you pick it up. Welcome to Maynard, issue 3. Christmas 365, issue 3. Assassin's Apprentice 3, issue 3. Into the Unbeing, part 2, issue 1. Midst or Mid Street, or however you want to pronounce it, Ripples, issue 1. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories of the Bad Batch, Ghost Agents, issue 1. See, this is an example of a title that is a mile too long. Cyberpunk 2077, Psycho Squad, issue 1. Oh, this is another one. Okay, so there's maybe more books I didn't get to read that I wanted to read than I can remember, but Cyberpunk 2077, Psycho Squad, issue 1. I say I want to read this because Dan Waters is the writer on that, and if he's writing it, I'm reading it.
Yeah, there's nobody you're enjoying more right now. Like that's on it has if it was on a line graph, I think of all the writers right now that you're enjoying, I feel like he has like the steepest incline so far at this
Rocket
point.
ship, baby.
Yeah,
Rocket ship.
100%. And then we got one that we wanted to break down this week. What did you think of Where Monsters Lie, Cul-de-sac, issue 4?
Oh, Nicholas, I am so happy that you discussed this book way back when on one of our mainline issues, and we've had the pleasure of talking to Kyle Starks about it a few times now. So this is the end of the second arc, cul-de-sac. And did you read it, Nicholas?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Oh man,
it was crazy. It's one thing after a fucking another, just all over the damn place, man. It was nuts.
this has been one of the greatest revenge tours I
Yeah.
have ever read. Right, and this is, I put this up there with John Lee's Sync level craziness. Right, like this book absolutely rips, and this issue in particular, right? It's just there's just no effing around, right? Kyle Starks just says, you know what, I'm going to put the pedal to 100. I'm going to keep it there, all 4 issues, and especially throughout this issue. And there's one point where I'm like, okay, this is where it's going to end. And then it sort of just has that little bit of a continuation. And then it says, the end, which, I mean, if it ends here, it ends here. But I mean, it seems like it's all primed for a third arc, Nicholas.
Yeah, it's very much seems like it is. So I feel like with the first Where Monsters Lie, it ended in a spot where it's like, okay, we're probably gonna get more, but we could be like it would stink if we didn't get more, but you did it in a way where we might be okay. This more feels like we're going to get more, and I think we've talked to Kyle about it as much. You might even said it on the program in some capacities, but that I don't remember exactly how much we discussed Where Monsters Lie with him last time we had him on for Those Not Afraid. But if you're enjoying Where Monsters Lie and you enjoyed the second arc as well as much as we did, and you haven't checked out Those Not Afraid, this is just another reminder. I know, Joe, you already said it, but they're like Kyle is doing an awesome job with horror stuff. We also talked about with I Hate This Place. Like that's another title that he did over. That was at Skybound, like another horror story. Like that was a big one for us in terms of how we read Kyle Starks too. So did you do that on the show, or did we both end up reading that? I can't
I
remember.
think we both were ended up reading that one.
Okay, we both ended up reading it, but it was like he's kicking ass and doing some really really good stuff at Dark Horse. But yeah, Where Monsters Lie, Cul-de-sac, like that. I didn't know it was the final issue originally. For some reason, I thought there was 5 for some reason. But when I started at some point, I'm like, this has got to be the last issue because the way this is going right now, this is just everything's happening and it's fucking nuts.
Yeah. It ripped, man. It ripped.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for the announcement for the third volume. I can't wait to have Kyle Starks on again to talk about it, and also maybe delve into the conversation that to further prove my point that Marcus Smart is wildly overrated.
We want to have him back on the show. This is man's favorite player. I mean, like he's also not he's not a New England guy where there used to be in we're all jerks to each other. I don't know. Like,
Did he get bought out by the Wizards, or is he playing for them?
I honestly haven't checked.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's when she gets sent to the Wizards, man. Like
he went to NBA purgatory.
yeah, I mean, it's like, the only thing worse than that is actually being Bradley Beal's teammate. Moving on though, I'm the most anti Bradley Beal guy you're ever gonna find, and it's nothing to do with the guy as a person. It's just that I think he's a wildly overrated superstar. Him and the Mr. Glass, Anthony Davis, over in Dallas, very talented, but the man cannot stay healthy to save his life. Anyways, moving on. We got Mad Cave. We got Flash Gordon issue 6. Speaking of sports, nope. How many fucking times do I have to tell you? Don't sing that goddamn song on here. The Exiles issue 4. The Body Trade issue 5.
Oh.
Dick Tracy Valentine's Day special issue 1. And I know you had a reaction to the Body Trade issue 5, but we talked about it before the show. We're not breaking down the Exiles issue 4 this week, but because we've been doing it so fucking much, but God, that is the best ongoing horror comic right now. Like not at Mad Cave, everywhere right now. I love the Exiles.
Yeah, it's really effing good, Nicholas.
It's amazing, man. Each one
And
issue
it's
after the
disturbing as hell too,
yeah.
right? So like
Cullen's doing a
they're
great
really nailing
job.
it.
Borcardo is doing a great job as well. It's just outstanding. We actually got something from AWA this week, a little one shot Cam Girl issue one. This is by Sarah Cho and CP Smith, of course, two names if I'm not mistaken, right? That we've seen plenty over at AWA.
Oh yeah, some big hitters over at AWA, and I'm going to be diving into this book, Nicholas. This is a little tease, and just further, if you don't don't follow us over on Instagram or TikTok or Blue Sky, to do so, because this book might be my gem of the week, baby. It was excellent,
Nice.
absolutely excellent. The only thing I'll say is this: it's a one shot, and I think it works perfectly as a one shot. But AWA, if you're listening, I'm jonesing for more stories. Please and thank you. I'll say this, Nicholas, in all seriousness. The AWA has now put out a lot of stuff lately. Been doing focusing a lot of their efforts on Kickstarters and stuff like that. But this book, reading this issue, was a further reminder to me that at any given year, when AWA is putting out books regularly, they are the studio to beat, because their stories are that damn good. They're original, they're gritty, they're raw, they're real. The social commentary that we get, from Sarah Cho and Cam Girl, or Mark Russell, with his stories, it's so on point without being heavy-handed, right? Like this again, like I know they haven't put anything out in a while. Read this book, go buy this book, and you will be reminded, why AWA Studios, is not only one of the best studios, but could be perennially my MVP, right?
Wow.
Without a doubt, right? They're that damn good. So I implore you, please, more monthlies. I need them.
Death Ratioed was the one shot from Mark Russell that you were alluding to, which was friggin' outstanding too. I'm going to rip us through these next couple before we wrap things up with Image and Skybound. From IDW, we got TMNT Mutant Nation issue 4, Star Trek Lower Decks issue 4, Monster High New Scaremaster issue 6, Godfather from Hell issue 3 from Vault, the only thing we got from them this week. From Distillery, we got the Big Burn issue 3, which I have dibs on this title. From Titan, we got Heatseeker Combustion issue 3, Minky Woodcock, The Girl Called Cthulhu issue 4, and Huge Detective issue 4. Then from Dynamite, we got Zootopia issue 2, The Powerpuff Girls Valentine's Day, excuse me, The Powerpuff Girls Valentine's Moi Moi Kissy Face Special issue 1. Then from Oni Press, we have to make sure we have to close the loop on this one. Oni Press, we got Mine is a Long Lonesome Grave issue 1, which Joe,
you are lucky.
I don't think that's luck. I think I just had recognized before you did that this is a book that I want. Like I called dibs on it. There's no luck. I just
no, you're lucky you found the evidence.
Oh yeah, I mean, well yeah. But
because if you didn't find that evidence, that book would have been in blue.
If I didn't find that evidence, listen, if the evidence is there from these kinds of things, I'm gonna find it. The problem is always whether or not I actually fucking did it. Like that, I have no doubt if I don't find it, I was a dumbass and didn't call dibs. But I was like, I'm 90% sure, even more. I was like, not like higher than that, like sure that I called dibs on Mine is a Long Lonesome Grave. When I saw that announced, I was like, this is gonna be awesome. We do, and you've said it before. We need to try and get on get some review copies from Oni Press just in general, because they got some big names that are doing some work with them this year. Seen a few different names announced, and we know of a couple others, so got to get on that. But anyways, moving on, I'll talk about that at some point on the show, maybe next week. What do we got from Image and Skybound?
Well, the question is, Nicholas, what don't we have from Image and Skybound? Quite the week right, from them.
Yeah.
Transformers issue 17, excellent. Spawn 361, Geiger issue 11, The Lucky Devils issue 2. Did you read this one, Nicholas?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot. That one was, of all the issues this week, that probably had the most going on throughout the entirety of the issue, I
What a
felt.
delightful little romp this book is, right? I absolutely love our main characters here. They're just tricksy little bastards. I love them. I Hate Fairyland issue 20, Witchblade issue 8, Stand Still issue 7. Oh, the penultimate issue. What a cracker series. Hack Slash Body Bags issue 3, Lego Ninjago Shatterspin issue 3, Death of Copra issue 2, Creepshow in Love, which is an anthology book that's got art written by, with art by Mirka Andolfo, Patrick Horvath, and Yoel Pyong Oh. The Hive issue 1, The Hive issue 1 is written by AJ Lieberman with art by Mike Henderson. I read the book. I think there is tremendous potential here. I'm definitely going to read issue 2. I found the first issue to be a little kind of little all over the place, so I definitely need to reread it again. But the potential is there, Nicholas. There were some really strong elements to this book.
Nice.
And those are the books, people, that we aren't discussing this week. Nicholas, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Feral because month after month, this is one of the best comics going on right now. Again, not just that Image, but all throughout comics. And also, again, this is another horror book that we love. We've talked to the creators multiple times: Tony Fleece, Trish Forstner, Tone Rodriguez. Feral issue 10, and I need to talk about it again, Joe, because I feel like we say this quite a bit. I feel like I am repeating myself in some capacity. But this is the craziest issue of Feral yet. Like, but like I'll differentiate this time around. Like, this might be the most anxiety inducing issue yet. Some questionable decisions were made by our main characters. And as I'm like visualizing those panels again, I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, okay, like there's gonna be repercussions for this, right? One would think. I don't know. Like, it was. I was like, this is not the right decision. There's no fucking way. And I'd also bet anything, Joe, and I'm sure you felt the same way while you were reading this. Like, there is a moment in this issue that has to be one of Trish's favorite moments from this series so far. There was a specific line where I was just like, I wouldn't be stunned if Trish wrote that. Like, if Tony said, "Hey, you go ahead. This is your like, go for it. I know you've been wanting this. This needs to happen." Like, it was just, I very much thought of the conversations that we had with her previously about this cast of characters that are in Feral.
This was the most disgusting issue of Feral, hands down.
Yep, fair way to put it.
And there's a moment there where I think it's Lord. He does something, and I almost vomited on my iPad.
Oh,
It was disgusting. And you want to talk about repercussions? 100%. There's repercussions coming from that moment down the road. Figuratively and literally, this book took many twists and turns. And you said, that Hexiles is maybe the best horror book ongoing. I would say this is right up there in a different way, right?
yes.
Because this
I would say, although I think this week may have been the closest that those two were to one another.
yeah, right. This issue was just absolutely insane and mildly nauseating, to say the least, which is, to say as a compliment.
Yeah.
Just at the great work that they're doing. Feral is absolutely wild.
Yeah, and then to round things out, we're going to do a first issue from Image, written by Jason Aaron, with art by Mahmoud Asrar. We talked about this during the Solicit Bug Wars issue 1, which, Joe decided to be the brave one of us, make sure he read both of the bug books that were out this week. Thank you for your service. But I was like, I'm only going to do one, and I wanted to do the Jason Aaron one. Obviously, we've been loving he's been doing with Absolute Superman. I mean, Jason Aaron is obviously a legend in the industry. But I looked at we saw the cover, looked at the first few pages, and I was like, oh, this looks awesome. This looks really, really good. And this has the makings, Joe, of being an epic story.
This, as I was reading it, right, this has everything that I love about high fantasy, but then you mix in a little Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Wow.
Right?
Bravo, sir.
Right? And so I love the way this book starts out. Now, what I loved about this book, right, was when you're first reading it, okay, it starts off and it's well paced and it's full of action. And so in my head, I'm thinking this is how the entire book's going to go. This is how the entire series is going to sort of go. But we get about halfway through and we go from micro to macro, and the story that we get, with the human beings in this story was absolutely fantastic. A lot of
Yeah.
suspense, very emotionally gut-wrenching. That's another thing that Jason Aaron, I think, does really well, right? We have a lot of these creators, I think, that just do a really good job at really digging into complex human emotions, right? And Jason Aaron's been one of those writers that does that extraordinarily well. And we get a lot of that in this issue. So like it's really like took a turn, and then the way it sort of came back full circle, I just thought was masterfully done. So this and this also had some gruesome moments in
Oh
it, right?
yeah. Yeah. Look, if you're not a Bug fan, like this is it's just take a second, and like but power through because from a story standpoint, this is something that every comic book reader has to give a chance. Like you kind of alluded to it, the layers in this story. It's just you're going in one direction and then there's a slight twist, and then we're going another direction and then there's a slight change here. And it's just by the end of it, it's just like this first issue gave me an amazing lay of the land, gave me some cool ass shit, and then it like gave me a few different viewpoints from a story standpoint. It was such a great first issue.
Yeah, absolutely excellent. So make sure if you're listening to this and you haven't gone to your local comic book shop, you grab that one. That's the number one you're definitely going to want to read. But Nicholas, there is one more book I would like to discuss. Don't shortchange me.
This is very true. My apologies. That was the last book that I wanted to discuss. What do you got, Joe?
Yeah, because we all know it's all about you, Nicholas.
This is true. This is very true.
Right.
I'm glad you looked at
I hope you're not like that in the bedroom. Right. Right.
Oh my god. She
And
listened to this show, she'd kill you. I think your wife would too, if we're being honest.
Well, Nicholas, I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, good idea.
Anyways, The Moon is Following Us. I have talked about this book a ton, and this is a book that just the last several issues have like brought me to the verge of tears, and I'm not joking, right? This is just such an emotionally gut-wrenching book, and the turn that that issue 5 took really screwed with my head. I wasn't prepared for that. And then how that unfolds in this issue, and the reasoning behind this one character's heel turn, and just how they've been sort of manipulating things from the get-go, I just thought was so well done. And the idea, because this book is very meta, right? We're dealing with, with sort of being stuck in, in a young child's dreams, and all that encompasses that, right? Not the good and the bad. And this issue really sort of plays that, like, like we all have nightmares, we all have things that terrify us. That doesn't necessarily mean they're bad things, right? And so just the way that was done, I thought was so brilliant, and added such a great complexity and such a beautiful layer to the story, that I know it's coming to an end. I can't wait to see how it ends. I don't want it to end just because I'm enjoying it so much.
Nice. That's the best feeling. Like it's I mean, it's a maybe it's bittersweet in some ways, but it's just like, like, can you ask more? Like that's the kind of comic. That's the kind of comic that right now you and we're not really rereading anything that we've read because we just always have new shit to stay on top of. But like over time, like a book that I'll eventually reread again at some point, Sarah. Like it doesn't have that warm feeling of like I don't want it to end. Like definitely not. But like the books that's a book you're going to talk about on the show, and that's a book that you'll definitely want to read again at some point down the line, if not once, maybe even twice again.
Yeah. Oh, hands down, because I'm sure there's lots of stuff that I've missed that I'll pick up now.
That's always fun. That is always fun when you just it takes on a new life. It's awesome. I'm glad that you're enjoying this one as much. And again, another you need to read Murder Falcon. We've talked about this before. This is a Daniel Warren Johnson book, and I think it was Image. You need to write that down and make a point of reading it. And because I honestly, if I don't hear about you reading it in a few like weeks or whatever, then I'll read it. Because I think that was a big one for him in terms of his emergence. And I got to imagine that you'll enjoy that one in some capacity. So I'm curious.
No doubt about it.